something ain't broke, don't fix it. That's an age-old adage that Nintendo often seems founded upon when you look at certain franchises of theirs. They screw around with Kirby and Yoshi to an extent, but they aren't always so quick to buck their established trends, especially when the IP is quite new. That being said, the launch of the Nintendo console after Splatoon's release means there needs to be a Splatoon to be played on it. Just wouldn't be right otherwise. The lolicons at Nintendo demand it, and so do the fans, and lolicons among the fans, considering how popular the original turned out to be, especially in Japan. Of course, with the opportunity of a sequel comes with it the opportunity of new ideas. Although the original wasn't what I would call broke, it was fantastic actually. It's not every day Nintendo gives us a new IP, and even fewer and far between are the good ones, making Splatoon a magical occurrence that usually only comes after appeasing the good game gods with a worthy sacrifice. We picked Chibi Robo. However, does Splatoon 2 stand out from the original? Because looking at them, it's pretty hard to tell the difference without the big 2 on the box. Sure, this one is on a console people actually bought and it got continuous updates, but so did a lot of bad games. Just how fresh is this sequel? Funky fresh? Or just plain funky? Let's swim on and find out. Just like in Splatoon 1, there isn't much to the story here in Splatoon 2. You are once again conscripted, out of curiosity, into the Splatoon's fight against the Octarian menace. Only this time, it isn't Captain Cuttlefish you'll be answering to. Partially decided by us, the fans, your boss and guide this time around is one half of the dynamic duo known as the Squid Sisters, Mari herself. Callie has gone missing, and Captain Cuttlefish and Agent 3, the protagonists from the first game, are off on mystery business somewhere, so it's up to you to help Mari fight the good fight as Agent 4. Other than that, there's nothing else to it. It's still the same old quippy Splatoon, just with sassy Mari as your guide instead of the incredibly old Captain Cuttlefish. It's not going to light up your world, but it's enough to get you through what is basically a gigantic tutorial / warm-up ground, and it has a pretty good ending, even if it's not as impactful as the original's ending. As with the story, the gameplay here isn't much different than the originals, just expanded. To be honest, I wouldn't have it any other way, as Splatoon's brand of shooting is just so unique. In other shooters, your goal is to shoot your enemies dead and teabag their corpses in a grand show of dominance. Here in Splatoon 2, your goal isn't to spot your enemies, though that does help your cause, so don't shy from it. Instead, your goal is to spot the ground with your ink. I'll hold off on the lewd jokes this go around. If you want some of those, see my Splatoon 1 review, but your goal here is to cover more of the environment than your enemy team does. Of course, this just applies to the multiplayer mode, Turf Wars. There you equip your Inkling with gear, separated into head, chest, leg, and weapon, of which there are many, including some new ones, and battle it out to see which team has the juice. As you participate in matches, your player level will increase, allowing you to purchase new gear, and your gear will level up, unlocking randomized abilities. This, along with the fact that different weapons have different special attacks, filled by earning points in-game, and different grenade types, keeps the multiplayer quite fresh, making you come back for more. Like before, the maps rotate out at different times, keeping things fresh on different sessions, but can make things a little stale if you're having a serious time playing. Love this idea or hate it, it's back again with different rotations for ranked as well. New to Splatoon 2 is the Horde mode, Salmon Run, a 4-player co-op mode where you take a randomly given gun and mow down baddies and bosses on a shifting map. Your goal here, other than to survive each wave of course, is to recover salmon eggs dropped by the bosses and deliver them to the net designated on the map. This is an incredibly addicting mode, especially since each round isn't too long and really makes you want to keep playing. The sad thing is, at least when the game launched, you can only play this mode at certain times a day, which is the most bananas thing I've ever had to say about a mode in a multiplayer game. Regardless of that, this is an excellent and addicting mode that gets super intense at spots with a decent variety of boss salmonoids to fight. That would be everything if I didn't want to talk about the gameplay and the story, that is. While things haven't changed much for it, the variety in stages and how you play them has. While the addition of new gimmicks is a given, such as switches you constantly pelt ink with to extend parts of the environment, or the ability to grind along the ink rails, the biggest new addition is the weapons. Instead of being stuck with the basic weapon the entire campaign, Agent 4 is given each of the weapons you can use in the multiplayer mode. These unlock at different times as you progress, and certain stages want you to use certain weapons at first, but replay value is automatically created by the fact that the game tracks which weapons you have beaten a level with. Ouch, everyone's collective OCD. You still collect power eggs from the enemies unique to single player, as well as hidden scrolls and a new item that is used to help upgrade your weapons. It's a vastly improved package overall, single player and multiplayer. It's just a shame this wasn't the first one, as the new squid smell has sorta worn off these Kajinka lollies and Shotas. If you liked the first, you'll definitely love this one. If not, there's nothing new here to change your mind, really. The original Splatoon was a looker on the data Wii U, so it's no surprise that it's a looker here. From a glance, it's not easy to tell the difference between the two. They look almost identical, but once you start playing, you notice. The ink still looks glorious splattered all over the ground, and the environments remain nice, sharp, and colorful. The squids themselves still exude the same energy as before, as do the Octarians in the single player. The disappointing thing about the game visually is that the single player is still the strange Super Mario Galaxy style planetoids, though it is great that they vastly improved the background visuals, making it seem like you're in an actual place instead of just a strange technodome. On the audio side, the game is still the same old poppy Splatoon and continues to sound great. It still does manage to have its own feel, which is impressive considering that the majority of the game feels like an upgrade instead of a sequel. Not much is to say on this front, as the game still looks and sounds excellent as well as performs flawlessly. Salmon Run can get quite hectic and the game never skips a beat. Kinda impressive actually for such a small switch. Though it is weird that your squid's clothes blow off in single player as you take damage. Who okayed this, Nintendo? Thankfully, this is much like Splatoon 1, where I don't really have much bad to say. You could take the fact that this is basically an expansion of Splatoon 1 as a negative, but considering this is a different console, I don't think that's quite so fair. The single player still being some contrived planetoid situation is still a bummer, but other than that, this game is as polished as they come, packed with content, even expanded single player replayability, and is just a ton of unsanitary fun. Even if my list of cons is as long as my list of pros, Splatoon 2 is still a fantastic game for lolicons and non-lolicons alike. I know I keep saying that, but just look at it. Silliness aside, the gameplay remains fun and engaging in both single player and multiplayer, and the new weapons and Salmon Run make for a packed game. If you're into multiplayer, this game will last you a long time, if you bought it back before Splatoon 3 released. Playing it now, considering both retail for the same price, it's mostly just to experience the story and its DLC, which I'll get to at some point. Regardless, as a product of its own, Splatoon 2 is a damn fine one. It's great this series caught on and more get to experience it thanks to the widespread nature of the Switch. Our Squid Kids swim through the ink along a very colorful 9 out of 10. Here's to Splatoon, a newly established Nintendo icon. Now get those fresh threads on and get out there, kid. We got some turf wars to win. See you in the ink.